welcome back to our show, your show, Let's Talk Stocks. Back in studio with us this morning is Kalilah Reynolds. And of course, we're now going to delve a little bit more deeply into some of the happenings in the financial sector and why it's so important that persons like herself report on that sector. Kalilah, welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, so we've now known who Kalilah Reynolds is, for those who didn't, and why you took the plunge into financial news. As you hinted in the last interview, there are many things that have been happening over the last year, certainly, locally and internationally. One of the most recent news being the resignation of Dollar CEO Kadeen Mears. Any take on that? How do you see this? How does this impact generally?
So I have not had a chance to speak with him yet. I do intend to call him very, very soon and just ask him, because people have been speculating all kind of things as to what's going on. My very first reaction when I saw the news was, oh, great for Kadeen. He sold his company to the public and resigned and retired a millionaire, and now he can go work on his other companies, because he does have other companies.
Yes,
he has Ultra Financier, Dequity Capital, and a few of them as well. So I was like, great for Kadeen. He was able to develop this company, Dollar Financial, grow it to the point where he was able to list it on the stock exchange, make a lot of money by selling personal shares to the public, and now he can leave that company and move on to other things, which is what a lot of entrepreneurs do. It's the dream.
And that's what the stock market is about also.
It's the dream to be able to list a company and then sell the company. So bring a company to the point where you can sell it and then retire and move on to other projects.
There's good in this, because we see two of the bigger companies in Jamaica who have invested. More recent, I think last week what we saw was Mayberry and the Supreme Ventures, who would have bought into Dollar.
Right.
So that says a lot for Kadeen and his team and what they've been able to do with the company.
I think people have been reading a lot into the term garden leave, because it was said that he's going on garden leave, and they're reading into that, was there some wrongdoing? I don't know that it was anything like that. I have not been able to speak with him yet. My initial reaction was that, he just wants to move on to his other projects.
Recently, you made a controversial tweet? A company in the financial sector, and it caused a little bit of firestorm about whether there was capital adequacy or not. Anything more on that story?
Company in the financial. Oh, right. So actually, it was a story that was reported in the Observer.
Okay.
And so I was just taking the information I saw in that and re-reporting it for social media. So there was, I can't even remember the details now, because it was like a month or maybe 2 months ago. But yes, so there were issues about whether this particular company met the capital adequacy. Ratio. And that was a concern, because it was one of the red flags raised when SSL was, when the whole SSL drama came out, and there were concerns that SSL had also not met this ratio. Not saying that was the reason SSL failed ultimately, but was this a red flag that
we should
customers should have known about before, and shareholders should have known about well in advance? And so the debate started as to whether that type of information should be made public. Of course, there are pros and cons to making it public. So one, transparency, just let us know who it is, and we will start to see if this is a pattern with that company. But then two, because the market is already sensitive because of SSL, this could panic the market. So there's those interests that you have to balance.
You have to balance
exactly.
Both, weigh them in the scales. As we talk about that and transparency and the kind of information that should be out there, are we understanding more as consumers of financial information? Do you think we're now understanding more, looking out for more in terms of the opportunities that reading through the numbers can create? Or are we still, as a people, we like the sus kind of thing, we like the excitement? Do you think we're switching from one to the other, or one causes us to pay a little more attention?
I think we are seeing the opportunities, and so yes, there is a level of excitement maybe among the general population, but the investing population knows to look for what are the opportunities in these reports. And we do see in Jamaica where news moves the market, where when announcements are made, you see the next day, within about 2 days, you start seeing a change in the stock price.
Absolutely. It's interesting that you mentioned that, because throughout last year, we've had central banks doing the tightening cycle, interest rates going up and so on, pulling monies out of the system. And we saw how it impacted the stock market. More people were going into bonds, that kind of thing. Is it just the institutional investors, or do you think the regular Joe is getting it?
I think some of the regular people are getting it. Not all of them yet. I would love for it to get to a point where, this type of discussion, talking about stocks, is just normal conversation among everyday people on the corner of the street, talking about how's your portfolio looking, Hook up and ask, how about that investment that you made in whichever, you see what's happening with NCB stock price? I want those to become ordinary, everyday, on the corner conversations. We're not there yet. And in order to do that, this has to become popular culture.
Yes.
So right now, popular culture is all about entertainment and everybody doing the drift and, all the dances, which is why I incorporate popular culture into my reporting as well. I'm not beyond making a complete fool of myself to get attention. Because once I have your attention, now you're at least listening to what I have to say. So I get your attention, and then there's a message. So people are seeing the opportunities. Some people are. Yeah. Other people, the majority of people we still need to get their attention.
Need to bring them up the curve. It's funny that you talk about popular culture, because there's so much value in our popular culture. There's so much money. I mean, when you look at the entertainment industry, or the creative industry by and large, there are trillion-dollar industries across the world. And they do contribute significantly to even our local GDP. Are our financial players understanding the popular culture and the value that exists therein?
Some of them are trying. Some of them are trying. Some are doing better than others. There is much, much more leverage that can be made of popular culture. But there is this fear of being associated with certain things that are considered lower class, because, we are prestigious and we're this big investment firm and we don't want to be affiliated with that level of people. But when you think about reaching the masses, you have to appeal to what appeals to them already, what naturally appeals to them. If you want to create, sure, you can create something exclusive, but perfect example, look at Digicel's approach back in 2001 when they launched. Digicel's approach versus traditional cable and wireless. Cable and wireless thought cell phones were for business executives and the elite, and somebody in a suit and tie is who's supposed to use cell phones. And then Digicel came in and said, no, cell phones are for everybody. Let's democratize this. Let's give the street corner man selling something, guy at the market has a cell phone. The teacher has a cell phone. The policeman has a cell phone. Even kids have cell phones. And Digicel was able to build this multi-billion-dollar brand, despite their debt issues now, off of the concept of democratizing cell phone use and phone use. And I think that's the same approach, and that's the same opportunity we have now in terms of business news and investment, something that was seen traditionally as something for executives and smart people, and you have to have an economics degree and master's degree and an MBA. That's who this is for. And I said, no, this is for everybody. Let's democratize investing. Let everybody understand that you invest in Jamaican companies, you help to build Jamaica, and you reap a part of the profits for yourself. That's where we need to go.
Including the regular people, as you say, in investments and investment decisions, participating in stock market and so on. Where you think that will take us in terms of persons being able to add that additional layer of income additional layer of investments. Where will that take us as a people?
It's beneficial on so many levels, and it's exciting. So I'm from Belize. I'm not Jamaican.
Okay.
I've lived in Jamaica for 15 years. Belize does not have a stock exchange. Every time I go home, I tell them, "You guys see what's happening in Jamaica? Like, you need a stock exchange in Belize." And they fight me down, and they said the market is too small. I said, but Jamaica's stock market wasn't always what it was today.
True.
JC has been around for what, 40 years, 50 years, a long time, and it wasn't always at the level where it is today. And so the opportunity is just tremendous, and there's so many layers to that cycle as well. So one, you get the opportunity to invest in Jamaican companies, which allows Jamaican companies to get capital without having to borrow in order to build and grow those businesses. And once you build and grow the businesses, now you grow the economy. The economy is doing better, which means these
Added
companies now have
employment.
capacity to hire more people. Employment rises. People are earning better wages. The government collects more taxes, which in turn can help to fix roads, build schools, fix hospitals. And then on a personal level, you get a return as well. So the economy does better, the businesses do better. And then businesses that aspire to list also have to be aware that their corporate governance has to be top tier, because they have to release their financial statements every 3 months. And so now you have to ensure that these companies are being run well. And
Of
that
course.
creates an exciting opportunity for the development of business in Jamaica, the growth of the economy, and the growth of our personal wealth in tandem with the growth of the economy and businesses.
So the stock market, great points you're making. And I want to come back to that regional thing. The stock market is down now. We've looked internationally, we've seen big returns in some markets. In the US, we've seen, I think the NASDAQ is up maybe closer to 30, the S&P on about 18. The Dow Jones, not so much, maybe about 6 or so percent. But Jamaica, the market is still down, although the economy has recovered. Should people still be afraid? Is it time to begin looking at some of these investments? Is it exciting times, or should we wait until it's running?
If you wait till it's running, then you're too late. So the whole concept of investing in anything is buy low, sell high. And where is it now? It's low. So this is the time where you buy. If you believe that the companies in Jamaica are still fundamentally good, then if you exit now, you're losing out.
You're losing.
So now is when you have the time, and it's what I keep trying to tell people. Now is the perfect buying opportunity, because most of the companies are undervalued, and they're undervalued not because of a fundamental issue with the companies, but they're undervalued because of fear and where the market is now and where the economy is now, and multiple different reasons.
Yeah, it's interesting you looked at the fundamental section of it, because yes, there's psychology and there's fundamentals. NCB, one of the big news coming out recently, and things, and people focused on, well, Michael went on leave, he's back, and Hilton is out, but have they looked at the fundamentals of the company? So the profits after the pandemic are greater than pre-pandemic. The stock price pre-pandemic was over $200. Post-pandemic, the stock price is under $100. Are we missing out?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a company that made $40 billion in profits last year. And you're scared, but the big issue with NCB was that they hadn't paid dividends in 2 years. So a lot of people invest because they want to gain those dividends. And if you have a company that's not paying dividends, that you are used to dividends, and on top of that, the stock price is declining, that led a lot of investors to leave. But is there still value in owning a company like NCB? Absolutely. And that's why when we heard the news of what Michael leached in and the changes that were being made, the stock price immediately rose. And it rose 15% in the week after that announcement. And that's because people started anticipating a return of dividends. So I said news moves the market.
All right, let's look regionally. One of the big things that we've always spoken about, many businesses, is the lack of capital to fund expansion, to fund growth. But there's lots of capital locked away in the region. whether it's in the savings account you talk about in Belize, so that yes, they might not have the stock market, but they might have those money in fixed income type instruments. And that is being replicated all across the region. The major markets now across the region would be the Jamaica Stock Exchange, maybe Trinidad, less so Barbados, and so on. There's the Eastern Caribbean Stock Exchange. Is there a need to integrate all our markets and have that one regional stock exchange, even with not without losing our separate identities?
So this is an interesting conversation I've had with some colleagues before. It can go either way. I think there is space for the integration, but historically, would it work? Because I think about the history of this region and the attempts at West Indies Federation and 1 from 10 leaves not and all of that. And some of the divisions within our cultures, even though we have so many similarities, we have historical connections, we share similar cultures. There are still divisions within our region, and you have people who say, Trinis don't like Jamaicans, and Bajans don't like Trinis, and Trinis don't want Guyanese there because they're taking all the women, all that kind of thing. So I do wonder whether it would work because of historically how attempts at regionalization have gone. Even CARICOM to me has been there have been good things, but overall it's been
underachieved.
I was going to say a big failure, but underachieved is the better term. CARICOM has underachieved. The CSME has underachieved. Moves to try to create a single currency. Single market can't even happen, much less single currency. So I do wonder whether going in the direction of trying to create a regional exchange might not be creating more problems. And
here's the thing, though. A lot of that has taken place because of our political leaders. Our business leaders, though, have managed to do a lot better. We've seen certainly Jamaicans buying companies, investing in other countries. The Trinidadians have been here, the Bajans have been here. And we're seeing certainly even in Dom Rep, Jamaicans now venturing into Guyana. So in terms of our private sector, it's done much different from what the political leadership has done, and I think certainly it augurs well.
That is true, but I still, one of the big challenges I still see is the currency situation. So the exchange of currency, we don't have a single currency, so how is that going to work, especially for countries that have currency controls like Trinidad and Barbados?
Which is one of the
So even now we see a challenge where NCB owns Guardian. Guardian pays NCB dividends, but it's not in US dollars, it's in TT dollars. Well, what can you do with TT dollars in Jamaica, right? You have to convert it. And so that is a challenge. So for investors in Trinidad or in Belize who want to invest in the Jamaica market, first they have to find US dollars to buy the stocks in Jamaica. And then it creates a challenge, and I think that's the major issue that we would have to overcome in order to create a regional exchange.
But in terms of the capital, it's absolutely there. In terms of the potential for us.
The capital is there in local currencies, but many countries have, that issue of the conversion and currency controls.
All right. Kalilah, it's been a great chat. So much more to talk about. What would you like to leave with the viewers as we look to wrap?
So earlier I mentioned that we do financial education inside the Money Mission community. I'd definitely like to invite everyone to join our community. You can go to moneymission.mn.co to join. It is a place for people to exchange ideas, share information. As a matter of fact, our latest webinar was birthed from one of our members who said, by the way, I have some knowledge on that topic. I would like to share that knowledge with the rest of our members. I'm like, well, let's set up a webinar and you teach us what you know. So it's not all about, just me being the face of it, but it's about people sharing information and resources to help improve all of our financial situations. So join me inside the Money Mission community, moneymission.mn.co. And our premium offer, our foundation offer, will remain open until September 28th, which is the official launch of the community, but we have already been in action. So Foundation allows you to lock in your rate for life.
Okay. Absolutely great. And you heard it from the lady herself, Kalilah Reynolds, #1 financial journalist in Jamaica. No arguments about that.
Thank you for having
thank
me.
you very much for coming. As we always say here on Let's Talk Stocks, we give you information to make better financial decisions. Come back with us tomorrow morning at 9. We'll have another educational program lined up for you.